This is number 5 on Schoology. Substitution is the method that we are using today, and this is great when one equation is already in x equals or y equals. That is when you would want to use this method if you like doing things by hand. So we're looking at number 5, and we're going to do number 5 together. Please make sure that if you don't have this worksheet printed out, that you are doing this on paper. So we're going to start off with finding the equation that is in x equals or y equals, and here it is right here. This says that y equals 2x plus 8. Now what that means is that in the next equation, we go find the y, and in that spot, we're going to plug in 2x plus 8. This is the plug-in step that you practiced in number 3. So what we're going to do is we're going to come out to the side, and this is our second step over here, the substitute and solve step. We're going to recopy this bottom equation for this question, 3x plus 2, but I'm not going to write a y because I know that y is equal to 2x plus 8. So in parentheses, remember just like we did up on number 3, the edge of that circle or oval kind of looks like parentheses. We're going to plug that in right there. So we're going to plug in 2x plus 8, and then we're going to finish copying down the rest of that bottom line right there. So we plugged in and we said 3x plus 2, and then we did our substitution, equals 9 is the last part. So this is the line that we're drawing right here. That's where I got that equation from, and I did my plug-in step. So, and I'm going to write out to the side some notes. This is our plug-in step. Okay. Now we're actually going to simplify. Okay, and how do I simplify? Well, I notice that I've got parentheses and I've got a number right next to the parentheses. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to distribute. And there are two things inside that parentheses, so I'm going to distribute to both of them. This 3x on the front is just going to come straight down. The plus sign is going to come straight down. And I'm looking at distributing a positive 2. So positive 2 times 2x. 2 times 2 is 4x. And then we go back to this positive 2 times a positive 8. It gives you a positive 16. And then we're going to bring down our equals 9. We're still simplifying because I have 3x's and I have 4x's. This is combining like terms. If you have 3x's and 4x's together, you have 7x's plus 16 equals 9. And then after you do all of this simplifying, you are going to switch gears and you are going to start to solve. So you're going to try to solve for your variable. And this is where you can see if you plugged it in right, and I didn't point that out in the beginning, you have the same variable. You only have one letter if you're doing this right. So I put my x's together, and so I have 7 x's. There's no other letter involved. So now I start solving. So I'm going to do minus 16 on both sides, and these will zero out. So you have 7 x's equals, and then you are going to do 9 minus your 16, and that's going to give you a negative 7. And then you're going to again continue to solve. To undo multiplying, you would divide. 7 divided by 7 is 1, so that divides out. So we have x equals, and on this side, negative 7 divided by positive 7 is going to be a negative 1. So we have the first part of our answer. And so I'm going to go ahead and give myself parentheses down here to put my final answer, remembering that we do x then y. The answer that we just found said x equals a negative 1. So we put that negative 1 in the x spot. Now what we're going to do is we are going to come back through and we are going to plug in to find the other value. So we go back to our first equation that we found right here where it said y equals. And so we have y equals 2, but now I know what my x value is. I just figured it out. So instead of x right here, we're going to substitute or plug in what we just found. X was equal to a negative 1. So I'm going to plug that in, then I'm going to recopy the rest of that line to say plus 8. And then we're going to actually solve it. We're going to simplify. So again, step number 1 was our plug-in. And then step number 2 should just be to simplify, because that y is already there on the edge by itself. So 2 times -1 is a -2. -2 plus 8 is going to be our final answer right here of 6. So it says y equals 6. So in the y spot, we put our positive 6. And now we have our final answer. Our final answer is a -1 and a positive 6. To make sure that you got your answer right, you can always check yourself by plugging in those numbers, both of these numbers that are in the circle here, and seeing if your equation is correct. So for this top equation, to check yourself, you could plug in 6 equals 2 times a -1 plus 8, and whenever you simplify it, both sides should equal 6. On this bottom line, again, to check yourself to make sure that you did it right, you would say 3 times a -1 plus 2 times 6 equals 9, and you would simplify both sides, and if you did it right, -3 plus 2 times 6 is 12 equals 9. If you put those together, 9 equals 9. Yes, we did it right. So we have 6 equals 6 and 9 equals 9. So the point that I found, I could check myself by plugging it back into my 2 equations, and it should work for both, which means that both sides come out to give you the same number, and that's how you can check